Hello and welcome. My name is Mark French, Director of Design Consultation at Sepasoft, and I'm joined here in Kassel, Germany by Herr Dr. Rico Kusber from ATS Deutschland.
Hi Mark. Hi, my name is Rico. I am Lead Consultant for Data Analytics and AI at ATS Global in the German division.
Well, we're having a discussion about SepaIQ and AI. And Rico, why are we talking about this?
Yeah, recently we met and we had a look at your new product, SepaIQ, and we had the chance to put our hands on, and that was interesting, challenging. It was exciting, and during that session we came up with the idea, well, we have to wrap it up. We have to talk, discuss, and maybe we have to provide this experience to others. That's why we are talking, aren't we?
Yeah, I really appreciated it. And, let's talk a little bit about the context that we're working in. We're serving manufacturers, and manufacturers are struggling to use AI to generate value within the organization, to generate transformation, and take the next steps in their digital journey. What are you seeing for the context of AI and MES for manufacturers?
I think that it is a well-known prerequisite that you have to have profound data. And this is your input for whatever system, may it be AI or anything else. And that also is output of other systems. And we have to connect it, we have to integrate it somehow. And this is what I see as the context here.
So let's talk about the tool of SepaIQ. You got to get hands-on when we met in Munich. So what are your thoughts about the nature of this product?
Yeah, as I experienced in the past, Sepasoft provides MES functionality and is really present in this context of manufacturing execution, monitoring it and showing it and being able to adjust it. And SepaIQ, I wondered myself, is it an AI tool or is it more like a data management tool? Is it something like an extension to an MES? What is it? And I was not so clear in the beginning. I was curious, but not so clear. And then the fog vanished a little, for me at least.
Good.
And I came up with the idea, why do not use SepaIQ as a data management, or more than that, data refinement tool, to put it into the middle of those systems, into the middle of MES, AI, and maybe other systems. What could it be? Reporting system could it be, right, for example? Because I got the strong impression in our session that SepaIQ is really handy to put data things together, data streams together, gather different sources, refine the things, and at the end prepare the data in a way that it is exactly what's the required input for another system. So this is, I would say, this is SepaIQ to me.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I think it's sometimes challenging to communicate this because everyone wants to be the one to score the final goal. But we need players to make the assist, to make the pass. And I feel that SepaIQ is a tool that is making a lot of passes, right? And making plays happen, right, within our data engineering context for MES, for AI, for business intelligence, and other reporting.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe some of our customers might see it as a data engineering tool, others might see it as a data science tool. And for me, it's an interfacing tool as well. This is a good perspective for me, seeing it as an interfacing tool. What you can do with it is you can go to a source, you can extract data from the source, and it doesn't necessarily need to be only one source. It can be, of course, it has to be a database at some point, and then you can connect message buses, for example. You can just connect the output of another system. You don't have to have everything in the database, but you can connect the different kind of communication technologies and data storage technologies. And then once you extract it, you usually transform, and this is what you can do easily. I got the impression, yeah, well, this is quite sophisticated or enhanced, let's say enhanced, how you can put together what you really want, what you want to do with it. You could put prerequisites and constraints on it so that you end up only with these parts of the data in that structure that you really want and can pass it on to, let's say, an LLM, for example.
Right.
And that LLM will appreciate that exact data input, I would say, because the more exact to what you want your data is tailored, the more precise your output will be.
I agree, and I think that speaks to one of the main challenges a lot of our customers are running into with AI programs or projects, and they're finding out the hard way, unfortunately, often, that cleaning and contextualizing data before it reaches AI is really critical to success, and I think this tool is well situated there. Well, let's talk a little bit about the ecosystem and some of the neighbors next to SepaIQ. So for your part, where do you see this being used among other systems and products?
For the fact that we are system integrators at ATS Global, we integrate anything that is amongst the automation pyramid. It starts with SPSs, of course, and machine automation, but it goes up, SCADA systems, MES, and at the end ERP systems. And the ecosystem I see here is production data in whatever level of refinement we have. So I see as parts of the ecosystem of SepaIQ, it is MES, it is SCADA systems, and it most probably, I can well imagine that, it is also something like reporting systems, maybe business intelligence systems, all along the data pipeline. This is. Yeah.
Oh, I agree, and it's worth pointing out. We at Sepasoft, we are a premier technology partner with inductive automation, and so we of course want to work with Ignition, just a fantastic platform. But SepaIQ can also work with other platforms. So I see it also as a technology bridge, right? Mm-hmm. If an organization, especially you work with many large global enterprises that might have a diversity of products in their manufacturing IT environment, and so we can work with others, right? We're not only working with one or two other systems. We can work with other vendors as well.
And this is what I also experienced in our training session. When we think about the ecosystem and all the variety of systems, yeah. Whenever we connect two systems, and we do this as an integrator, we have an interface in between. And all those interfaces need to be taken care of carefully, really. And you can use the SepaIQ for the interface between SCADA and MES, for example, but you can also use it for the interface between a message bus or communication system. It does not necessarily need to be a message bus, and connect it to a reporting or the MES or anything else in that ecosystem we mentioned before. So you can use it also as a kind of, let's say, interface refinement, interface structuring entity here for different systems, not only for one. And that was also something I thought about, and I thought, well, that's nice.
Yeah, well, good. Well, let's shift to talk about AI specifically. It is the hot topic in the industry and has been for some time. Let's talk first about your background with AI. I mean, why am I talking to you as an expert about AI, Rico?
I mean, my experience in AI started way back in the days. I started during my studies already specializing on AI, and this is, 22 years ago now.
Okay.
So AI these days has nothing to do with LLMs. They did not exist. Of course, we did have neural networks that were a great paradigm already, but there was way more beside those. There were decision trees, there were, the expert system, there were some fuzzy logic things, there were a lot of probabilistic systems, such a large variety, and this is actually what I enjoyed. My favorite paradigm was artificial immune systems. Can you imagine that? That was great. But AI developed, and it developed quickly. And it, these days, focused, of course, to neural networks, focused to LLMs in special, as a special kind of architecture. And besides that, at least I will not forget that there are different paradigms that might, let's say 10 years in the future, also play a role again. And this is what this topic makes this topic interesting for me. I'm really keen on that.
Well, I appreciate that, and that kind of history and knowledge of the development of the practice of the art, right, is very important. One of the things that systems integrators bring to the customers is your expertise and that experience. So you understand why things are done the way that they are done or should be done in a certain way. It's, as we say, it's not your first rodeo. Well, thank you. I'm wondering for you, where do you see value and where do you see challenges for AI use for your manufacturing customers?
Value, I see a lot up and down the automation pyramid. There are a variety of use cases depending on which level you look. This is not a big problem at all. You can go into the manufacturing halls, onto the shop floors, and you will find, for example, the need for an AI-driven or AI-supported user interaction or something like that. You can go to quality management, and you can go up a little bit and try to do predictive, prescriptive maintenance, if you like, up and down. Everywhere there is use, in my opinion, but there are also the challenges, and these are mainly concerned with data. These days we learned already that the data that you use as an input is crucial. Absolutely. Of course, and what you get out is only as good as what you put in. But that's easier said than done to refine the data in a proper way. First, it starts with understanding that the data is connected and that the data coming from different sources has different properties, and that you need certain kind of, let's say, data quality for this or the other system to be an input, a valid input to receive a feasible output. These, in my opinion, are a couple of the main challenges that I can see.
Well, I'm glad that our universal law of computing, garbage in, garbage out, still applies.
It does.
Now, forgive me. In German, would I say "Müll in, Müll aus"?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yes, it works. Okay. You would be understood then.
Okay. Well, it's probably not going to catch on just yet. Well, let's talk a little bit about MES data in particular within SepaIQ. We've talked about reporting enablement, we've talked about context, and I think context is king here. The example I like to use is that of temperature, right? So if I have temperature in isolation, that is not very meaningful. I don't have much meaning to that information. Is that temperature from a vessel that is empty, full of product, or maybe in a CIP cycle, right? Those three scenarios happen every day and completely change the meaning of that data, right? And so that's just one example. We have a million such examples from the plant floor. So, that I think that underlies the importance of applying context to derive meaning, which is of course necessary before it gets to AI.
Yeah, absolutely. When we talk about this, what do you think? Who will use then the data, the results of what your product does, what SepaIQ is able to achieve or to do to the data?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, whenever we have this data, it's very tempting to only think in one direction and say, well, we will send it to the AI in the cloud, or the AI that is local, owned by the factory, let's say, that local model. But we really need to think in all directions. And so we can provide contextualized, high value, high performance calculations and predictions back to the plant floor. And we can also provide them to business systems, and also predictive activity that could be local on SepaIQ, that could be external as well, and those large AI projects as well. So I think when we approach these projects, we need to think in all directions and think about all those different consumers of data.
Yeah, this is a nice perspective, and there are a lot within a company. Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering, kind of to wrap up, Rico, can you help us understand how ATS leverages these technologies on behalf of your customers?
Yeah, in my point of view, as I said, there is so many different systems, maybe within the context of one company, and usually the companies, the customers of ours know their pain points already, that's obvious, and they want to put systems into place that release the pain, but those systems are rarely out of the shelf. So we as integrators put together different systems, and that one helps here and that one helps there, and the benefit really arises when you put them together. So this is the common situation that we face with the customers, large or smaller ones. That does not really matter. That's kind of the same. And what I see there is whenever we put systems together, at least two of them, we have an interface, at least one. We have one point in the ecosystem where we have to think about how does communication work? How does data flow? How do things connect? What do we need? What do we want to have? And how do we put things together? And this is where I see we could really make use out of SepaIQ, and where we could really help our customers to solve some of their problems, ease some of their processes, or refine the quality of some of their results. Putting together the systems and refining in between what we have as input and as output. Because the better we do that, the more enhanced, the more precise, the more usable, I believe, the output of the whole process, of the whole system, of the ecosystem is.
Excellent. Well, we're available for helping customers realize their business goals and their business objectives through the use of their manufacturing data, the connectivity of their manufacturing systems, and the transformation of their processes through digitization. So if you're interested in learning more, we'll have some resources and links below, both for ATS as well as Sepasoft. Thanks for tuning in for this discussion.